What's going on, everybody? Today we're going back to our roots. Bones, they're smoked beef ribs, bruise. We're gonna braise them in a Guinness marinade. So let's get started. All right, you guys, so for this recipe, pretty simple, especially on the front end today. We're gonna get these beef ribs, short ribs, ready to go on the smoker, bringing that temperature up to about 275 to 300 on there. So this short ribs will only take about 2 hours in the beginning part of this process. Simple and easy today as we start. So we're gonna take our beef short ribs. I got a couple of packs of them here. I wasn't sure what they would look like at our grocery store here, our local store. Go ahead and get those opened up. So this recipe today, friends, I'm gonna tell you, it came to me only because my wife is currently in Ireland, and I was thinking, man, I'd love a Guinness, but also just want to be out by the barbecue. Let's bring those two worlds together. So that's what we're doing. All right. So I got these Angus beef short ribs. Hopefully I got enough room in the smaller pan. So I've got a rack that I got in the bottom of this pan. And so we're gonna get these coated, and basically we're gonna use a meat church, that old holy cow there. But then what we're gonna notice is it's really just salt, pepper, and garlic anyway. So we're gonna go with that today. You could just go salt, pepper, and garlic if you want to as well at home. So got these all sorted out here. All right, we're gonna grab that seasoning, give them a good coating. We'll start to flip them over as well. So like I said earlier, this recipe, probably looking to go about 2 hours here on the smoker. And then we're gonna come back, and right before that, we're gonna build that Guinness marinade that we're gonna use for that braising process today. A little bit different than maybe you're traditionally using, but hopefully it turned out really well for us. All right, friends, so I got those ready to go. All right, so there we go. Got those beef short ribs in there. We'll get them on the smoker, and then we'll come back here in a little bit, crack open that Guinness, bring out all the other ingredients for that braising process. Okay, short ribs are going on. 2 hours later, we'll come back and check them. All right, guys, it's time to build that Guinness braise that we're gonna use for those beef short ribs. They've been on the smoker here about an hour and a half. So we're gonna start to build it, and we'll put it all together in this aluminum pan, and then we'll put the pan covered on the smoker, let it start to heat so that it's not a cold mixture hitting those hot ribs and bringing the temperature back down. So let's get started. So we'll start with that can of Guinness. We really need about 12 ounces. Those are those 14-ounce cans, and we'll let that sit right there as I begin to get ready to build everything else. See, I don't usually drink Guinness, but it just even smells good. It smells like Guinness stout right now. Man, I'm even more jealous of my wife hanging out in Ireland right now. All right, so here's what we got. We'll get that Guinness going in here. We're gonna use a little bit of olive oil today. Obviously some salt and pepper. I got 2 limes here. We're gonna go with the zest of a couple of limes. Use the shallot, use a couple cloves of garlic, and then you could go fresh here with these next 3 ingredients. I did not, because sometimes, you get what you can find at the store sometimes. A little bit of basil, a little bit of thyme, a little bit of tarragon. So we're gonna use those ingredients as well. So let's go ahead and get that Guinness poured into our pan. Now this is like your typical slow and low recipe today, friends. Great recipe, like those short ribs, easy to start at the very beginning, right? We hit it with a little bit of seasoning, I threw them on there for 2 hours. I was able to get some yard work done, maybe enjoy a beverage at the same time. All right, so let's go ahead and get everything else in here today. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the zest of a couple of those limes here. Now one lime is kind of small, the other one is not, so we'll hit that zest in there. Even the smell of that zest is amazing. You can smell it just hitting that Guinness. Whew. Although now I want a Corona. Is that wrong of me? All right. Got that zest near that one. We'll go ahead and add a little more zest. And maybe I'll save these for a Corona after all. All right, so we got that little bit of zest in there. Perfect. I'll use the back of my knife here to get that off of the back there. Oh yeah, lots more zest remaining. All right, so next we got a couple more ingredients we're gonna go with. Let's go and get some of those seasonings there, because even though these are dried, I mean, my gut tells me they're gonna rehydrate when it hits the liquid, so we'll see. So with that tarragon here, we just need just a little bit of that tarragon. Would be about 2 tablespoons of that tarragon. So 1 and 2. All right, and we'll do the same with that thyme. With that thyme, I'm not going to use as much with this one. So I'm going to go with, give myself a bigger opening. It's nice, I've got some empty spice containers inside, so I'll pour these in there after. It's a little less expensive when you buy it this way in the bags. All right, there is that thyme. And last we'll go with that basil. Now this is one I really wish, in hindsight, I was using fresh basil, but I don't think it's gonna make a huge difference. So for this basil, we'll also go a little more with this one. We're gonna go what might be about 1/4 of a cup of that basil. Ooh. Try to make sure the wind doesn't catch hold of that as well. All right, so next I'm gonna grab myself a couple of cloves of garlic here. I will let the wind just blow that away. Clean it up later. All right, there's 1, 2, let's go with 3 cloves of garlic. Use the back of that knife, smash those, peel those apart, and then we'll come and chop them up a little bit here as well. If you got a fancy dancy little peeler or garlic chopper, this might be the time to do it. You could also, maybe the fresh garlic doesn't look great at your local grocery store, but they got the little jars of the minced garlic. Go ahead, why not do that as well, right? So go ahead and kind of chop this up real quick. I don't need a fine chop on it, just trying to get it into smaller pieces. And we'll go ahead and get that in the pan. All right. Next we'll do the same with that shallot. We'll go ahead and slice off the tip of that one there. Get that lining off of the shallots. I don't use shallots very much, to be honest. Maybe you guys do. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna slice it right down the middle, so it's a little easier to get that lining off the outside. There we go. Woo, potent, that's for sure. All right, so for that shallot today, we don't need too much of it. I'm gonna say like maybe 1/4 cup of that shallot. But I don't want to waste what I got, so we're just going to use all that I've got here. So go ahead and chop this up. Get those going, get that off their plate there. There we go. All right, fresh shallots, there we go. Now, if you can't find shallots, you can maybe compromise here as well and go with maybe some green onion. It won't kill you, all right? Get a little bit of kosher salt. All right, trying to get about a teaspoon of salt in there. Go with some fresh ground pepper as well. Probably about a tablespoon of that. All right, and we're gonna hit it with some extra virgin olive oil here, probably about 2 tablespoons of that extra virgin olive oil as well. There's 1, there's 2. How about that? That'll work. Nothing like eyeballing it, right, friends? All right, I think I got all my ingredients in here. So what we'll do is I'm gonna take myself a tool here, and I'm simply gonna mix these ingredients together. Whew. The Guinness, the shallots, and the lime zest are like connecting right now. Can't imagine what this is going to taste like as that brine later. All right, friends. So there's a look at what we got. I don't know if you can really see that on camera, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab myself a piece of aluminum foil. We're going to cover this up and let it warm just a little bit on that smoker before we come back and add those short beef ribs into that braise. All right, let's get it on the smoker. All right, you guys, so those short ribs are ready. We're gonna get them off the smoker and start working our way to get them inside that braise. I've already pulled that back off as well, that smoker. So ultimately, you're trying to get about an internal temperature in these at about 160, 165. Remember, we got that connected tissue and all that fat in there. You're trying to get broken down ahead of time. It's gonna break down a lot more once it's in that braise for about 2 more hours here in this pan. So let's go ahead and transfer things over. All right, save that foil because we're gonna use it again. All right, so we're gonna move those short ribs over. So that's what they look like so far, my friends. We're gonna go ahead and lay those inside of that braise. You can still smell that Guinness. Oh my gosh. That and the shallots are definitely dominant here in the smells that I'm getting as I pull the foil off of this. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and lay those in that braise. Take that piece of foil, definitely reuse it. I'm already mad at myself because I used 2 pans instead of 1. Try not to use as much, but you know what? I'll do better next time. All right, so we're gonna move this back to the smoker. I'm trying to bring that heat back up to about 275 to 300 for about 2 hours. Ultimately, I'm trying to be able to pull that meat almost like with forks. You know, you're making like roast beef with potatoes and carrots in your crock pot, you just shred so easily. That's kind of what I'm looking for here. Let's get it back on the smoker. All right, everybody, it's time to get those braised beef short ribs off of the smoker. So they hit an internal temp between like 203, 205. So I'm hoping that's exactly what we need here today. So off camera, while this was going here towards the end, I was like, you know what? I just don't want beef in these beef short ribs. I want to smother them on top of something. So I made myself some mashed red potatoes that we're going to put on this plate as well. But first of all, let's open this up. Woo! See the steam coming out. Oh yeah, my friends. Let's see if these start to fall apart when I touch them. Yes, they are. Look at that. These are going to be absolutely amazing. The smells are tremendous right now. So I think what we're going to do, let's go ahead and start grabbing some of these red mashed potatoes I made. So off to the side here. And I'm gonna take some of them and get them on the plates. So what I did for these is kind of, you know, small red potatoes, boiled them, mashed them, a little bit of Parmesan cheese and salt in there as well, a little bit of milk to get things going. And we'll get them on a plate. And then we're gonna kind of spread things out here as well, because it's all about the presentation for the picture, right? For that cover shot. So let's start laying those beef ribs on there. Oh my God, my friends. You can see the bones wanting to pop out of a few of these. These are going to be absolutely amazing. I'm going to finish plating these, and then we're going to come back and give them a taste test, all right? Here we go. It's all plated. Those short beef ribs on top of those red mashed potatoes with that Guinness braise. The smells are incredible, my friends. I can't wait to dive in and give this a taste test. So just to remind you that I know when we started this episode, I said about 2 hours with it before we put the braise. It actually was closer to 3 hours before we really hit that temperature we're looking for. After the braise hit it, it was another 2 hours. So about 5 hours total in this process for your planning purposes, if you think about that, all right? So, and because of that, you might want more Guinness if you're trying to enjoy a few of those during that session as well, all right? So let's go ahead and, I'm not sure I'm gonna need the knife here, but I'm gonna go off to this first one here. Oh no, it falls right off as soon as I touch it. I don't even need the knife. Let's get some of those potatoes on there as well. Time for the taste test, my friends. Talk about just falling apart, melting in your mouth. The potatoes, I don't know what made me think of that the last second, but absolutely incredible. Man, I mean, I know I've said a few times, my wife is currently in Ireland. She's not getting this treatment, I can tell you that. This is absolutely incredible. And that brings us back to those roots once again. We got the bones, we got the brews we used for that braise today. That's why we designated it and created this channel about 4 years ago. Back to our roots today. Make sure you hit the subscribe on there, hit the like, share this recipe with your friends. We love it when you guys do that. We'll see you guys again on Bones and Brews.